All right, thank you so much for staying with Daybreak. We begin the discussion on State of the Nation now. We'll touch on several topics. We'd like to hear your views at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag Daybreak. Just stay with us as we go along. We'd like to hear your views on different issues. Let me introduce my guest real quick. Dr. Tiende Amolo, Member of Parliament for Ariada, is here with me. Dr. Kimani Wamatangi, Kiambu Senator, is here with me, also the Majority Whip. Dr. Alfred Mutua, Governor for Machakos, is also here with me. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Samson Cherargei will be joining us on Twitter. He's a Nandi Senator. He's joining us on Skype. Is the Nandi Senator in just a bit. All right, let's start off with the dailies. Front page of The Standard. They say that the Russian vaccine lands amid burning questions. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Let's cross over to the main headline. Fallout getting messy. NASA implosion. The removal of Cleophas Malala as the Senate Deputy Minority Leader by Raila Odinga's Orange Party causes a storm, with other NASA partners, NC, Ford Kenya and Wiper, protesting bitterly in a letter to the Speaker. Otiende, I'll start with you. Does NASA even still hold? Let's start from there before we get into the reasons behind the ouster of Malala.
Thank you, Trevor. I have said this and I repeat. NASA died the day the co-partners failed to gain courage to go for the swearing in. And it is obvious to everyone that from that day, everyone has been going their separate journeys. I do not even understand what this is all about, because this has been long in coming. It should have happened much earlier. You see, some of these former NASA partners are behaving like a spouse in a failed marriage, who, when they go out, they present to the world that they are single and willing to mingle. And in such belief, go ahead and undertake other things. But then when they hear that there's property that is about to be disposed of or something, then they run back and claim co-ownership. I think that's where we are. You cannot probate and reprobate. You cannot claim NASA is dead, and all of them have long claimed that. You even remember when my friend Senator Wetangula was being removed as the minority leader. You know the words he used. And he pronounced NASA dead, and he said that divorce will be messy and loud and all that. So when it's being messy and being loud, what are you complaining about? These seats were always seats that were essentially donated by the ODM party and to various other instances. Once you decide that that coalition is dead, and you go as far as, in the case of Wiper, having a separate agreement with Jubilee, they signed a separate agreement with Jubilee. When you decide to go as far as the four declaring, and they're on record as declaring, that they formed a coalition, I can't remember what they call it, but that coalition of four, and that they're going their separate ways, and that they campaign together. If then you are removed from a seat you are enjoying by virtue of belonging to another coalition, which now you've declared dead, what is there to complain about? In any case, it is so insincere. Yeah. Do you know, to date, only last year, the ANC declared that it had expelled Honorable Sosi and Honorable Malala, and in fact wanted to recall them. To date, they've not told us whether they cancelled that, withdrawal or recall. The Ford Kenya, on its part, has purported to oust some of its members. You remember Senator Wetangula purporting to have ousted from membership Honorable Amunyinyi, Dr. Eseli Simiu, and others. So it is completely insincere. But the point is this: if you decide that you want to walk your own path, then walk that path. And when the consequences come visiting, do not cry foul.
Senator Wamatangi, what do you make of this fallout?
Trevor, good morning, and let me say good morning to our viewers. Yeah. It's been a long time coming, and I can tell you, as a member of the Senate, it's been there. It was there in there all the time, all the time. It's only that for many reasons that the ODM did not disclose. They did not execute it early enough. Yeah. but it's been in the corridors of Senate. It's been whispered that they were going to be removing Malala. Now, maybe what one would ask is who authored the letter that gave him the job in the first place? And is it the same authority or the same source that then has authored the one for his removal? And if the two answer, I'm not the speaker, and so the speaker knows who signed the letter. But if it is the same signatory that gave him the job, then there might be very little, Trevor, in my view, to argue about when it comes to the removal. However, my belief is that as a legislator in the House, you can legislate at any capacity. And remember, these positions we get for management of debate and business in the House on behalf of the party and behalf of Parliament. Yeah. Largely these majority positions are party positions. And so I don't think that there's nothing that Senator Malala would not do on the floor of the House as far as his core mandate is concerned in the House. He can bring up bills if he wants. He will debate normally as he does and as he should. So I don't think that it's going to cause any much change. The only probably change that one would speak about is now in the so-called partnership, as you've said, and the papers have really highlighted this, that it may cause a few ripples within the Building Bridges initiative, which I don't think really it will. That process is way too far and now out of political parties' direction. Yeah. Such that, after Parliament has looked at it, now we might be heading to a referendum. Indeed, we will be heading to a referendum from where we are. So I don't think that there is anything much. Only I would want to comment about is because most of the papers seem to say or to imply that that the president has been dealt a blow. And remember, it is not the president who ordered the NASA coalition in the first place. Yeah. And neither has he at any one time been part or parcel of either their working relationship, the terms under which they work. What he has been trying to do, to the best of the understanding of majority of Kenyans and myself, is he's trying to put and bring people together so that we can deliver on an agenda that will help this country, and use this period between now and the next election to ensure that we attain and deliver on the promises that the government made to Kenyans. And I think in that he has tried his best to rope in everyone who is willing to see a better country. Right. So I don't think that this really would derail his agenda. Unity in the country is for all of us. Okay. Thank you.
Governor?
I also want to say jambo and good morning to all our friends and all our viewers, wherever they are. I think it has well been said, and it comes back to why do we have these groupings? And to me, this formation of NASA was not an ideological formation. It was not of bringing people of like-minded aspirations to be able to change this country. It was a formation to gain power. And once power was not gained, then there was nothing, there was no glue holding them together. And therein lies the problem we have in this country. Yeah. People actually just get together to try and gain power, not necessarily to change this country. There's zero ideology in a lot of these formations and political parties. And because it's all about self-preservation. You look at the pictures in the front page here of the Standard, some of these guys, it's all about self-preservation. You ask them to show you a road they've ever built, a toilet they've ever built, a water program, or something they have done for their community. They won't show you. They are there by virtue of they were appointed to be a leader by somebody or are born in a certain house. So it is just, as said, chickens coming home to roost, as Malcolm X would have said. I like the senior counsel when he said it's an example of a failed marriage, where people now, you are out of the marriage, but unakimbilia ile kidogo iko. Ukisikia kuna kitu inagawanya, unakimbilia. But the chairman of ODM put it very well when he said that the coalition doesn't exist anymore. And then he pointed out, and this is a point that Wamatangi is talking about, if you're a part of a team, be part of a team. And he says, and I read in quotes, technically, NASA is dead. It doesn't exist. Malala has been working at variance with ODM. In the Matungu by-election, he was violent and hostile to the ODM party. You can't enjoy benefits of a party you fight, said Mbadi. So it comes down to that. I mean, if whoever has the power to appoint you has the power to remove the appointment. And this is ODM. What to do? There's nothing they can do. And it is laughable when you see quote by Wetangula saying that it is selfish and helpful and lawful, vindictive, intolerant, vengeful against the NASA coalition agreement. You know, but there's no NASA that is existing today because these guys are not even showing any teamwork at all, you know, because they have also gone away from that BBI grouping. They have decided to form their own, coalition. Coalition. So they basically they are bringing back the same infighting we see every single time where leaders cannot get together. Where you can't just keep your things quiet and wait for the opportune time because they are opportunists.
All right.
But probably, Trevor,
very briefly,
if you look at how politics works, maybe it's an advantage for Malala in his local politics, because you know once you've been ousted from a position like that, and it looks like somehow it carries some connotation that you fought for your people. You know, he's been accused of having been hostile to ODM in the 2 by-elections there.
So he can play victim.
So he could very easily, as you've said, play victim, and maybe it might boost his standing locally. I mean, that's how politics works.
Okay. Let's bring in Samson Cherargei. He is the Nandi Senator. Cherargei, are these seats given or withdrawn based on merit or plain loyalty?
Thank you, and good morning, Kenyans, and good morning, viewers, and like me, and also the panelists. Now, what I can say is that yesterday I was in the House when the communications was being made, and you could see the push and pull. The NASA had protested, even the temporary speaker and then Speaker Rose Nyamunga read at around towards the end of yesterday's session at around 6:21 p.m. I was on the floor of the House. And of course, we knew, I think since the formula debate, we always knew that Senator Malala was working on a tightrope, and the ODM has always been comfortable. I think now chicken have come home to roost, and NASA technically has been dead. And you can see ODM, excuse me, you can see ODM has been trying to take all the positions within the parliamentary leadership of the minority, both in the National Assembly and the Senate. And I think all these positions have never been given out, mostly not through merit. And of course, any senator from the minority side or even majority side has the capacity and ability to lead in the leadership positions. And when the majority side, of course, was de-whipping and removing its leadership, we always knew that in a matter of time, the leadership both in minority and majority side would be. And I am surprised that NASA was trying to protest to the Speaker of the Senate. It is the same thing that the majority side leadership, when was being removed, they also tried to protest the Speaker, but always that process has been reduced to ceremonial, and where the Speaker has always endorsed changes. Because I listened to NASA letter protest to the Speaker, and the Speaker, Rose Nyamunga, at that point in the evening yesterday, tried to say NASA has protested, they have objected, it says it violates the agreement. I saw the statement by the ANC party leader, Musalia Mudavadi, and also Ford Kenya party leader, Moses Wetangula, protesting. But at the end of the day, of course, all these things come to roost. But I think, of course, the removal of Malala was long overdue. The ODM and the ODM brigade in Senate have always been planning to do that. We remember even before the close of business last year, they had really wanted to remove him. But I think all in all, as Senator Matangi has said, it doesn't remove anything from the senator. He can still perform his legislative oversight ruling. And curiously, I am informed that one of the charges that Senator Malala was facing is because he said the Kakamega governor, who is the deputy party leader of ODM, does not have a face of a president. It does not have a face of a president. I think he said somewhere in Kakamega, and they said it was disrespecting to the deputy party leader and by extension the ODM leader. So I think that some of the charges are so frivolous and trivial that sometimes it makes you want to cringe or to laugh out loud. But I think NASA, and I think now these are final funeral rites on the NASA part, and I think Tienda Amola has put it correctly, that NASA is dead, and therefore we are having, the word on the street is there is sacred coalition. I'm told there is Serela coalition, and I'm told now they are trying to come up together, I think, to do something in 2022. But all said and done, I think within the law, listening to the objection and many other issues before the floor was yesterday in the evening, I think ODM had all the powers. They had 17 senators out of 28 who had already signed that petition to remove Senator Malala and allow Senator Stewart Madzayo from Kilifi County to take over.
Okay. Dr. Otiende, is this a direct, almost standoff with the president? Because this is what the Daily Nation is saying. They've sort of changed that and said that just when a loose coalition of leaders of major parties was beginning to concretize, ODM lawmakers voted to remove a key ally of ANC chief, Musalia Mudavadi, from the Senate Deputy Minority Leader position, accusing him of disloyalty to Odinga. Does this have anything to do with the coalition and the president?
I haven't seen a more contradictory subheading. Because, I mean, where does the president come in? If Malala was in the NASA coalition and the de facto NASA leader has always been Raila Amolo Odinga, if then he is removed, how does that translate to the president? And if it did, then Senator Matangi here would be quite happy to welcome Malala and give him a position. Because, you know, that then would be the natural thing. To invite him to join the other Jubilee. I think we should call it the main Jubilee coalition. And then they could give him a position there. I mean, this, as Senator Matangi says, I think there's a great effort to nitpick and tie everything to everything else. You know, so much is going on in this country. And sometimes it's just good to understand that there are certain things that can move in parallel to each other. They don't always have to crisscross. Yeah. And, you know, it takes such great effort to tie the removal of Senator Malala to NASA and then now to Jubilee and to the president. That is just far-fetched. Okay. But secondly, you know, unlike my brother, Senator Cheregei, who says, oh, you know, Malala was removed on flimsy charges and all. First of all, you do not need charges for this kind of position. As both the panelists have said, this is a matter of confidence. If the party or coalition that you belong to has confidence in you, they give you a certain position. If they lose that confidence, they withdraw it. This is not a criminal court where you have to start charging people with this and with that, and you know. But lastly, it's interesting that Senator Matangi says that perhaps the removal of Senator Malala is a blessing to him. Well, we live in an interesting country. It just might well be. You know, we live in a country where if you want the greatest mileage politically, be the loudest and the harshest critics of your leader or your party's critics. And the more vulgar the language, the more popular you become. It's quite unfortunate. In the case of my brother, Senator Malala, who's my friend, you realize that out of Matungu, he's even been charged with various criminal offenses. Now, if those are the things that Senator Malala is saying, making you great, then I think we are in for a bad show. It means 2022 will be really bad, because we should not celebrate those kinds of things. We should not celebrate violence. We should not celebrate vile language. We should not celebrate that one has 2 million on an election day from unclaimed and unknown sources and for unknown purposes. Those are not things to celebrate.
Yeah. Gerard, what did you mean when you said flimsy reasons, though?
No, you know, yesterday I heard on the floor of the House, and even Senator Malala gave an interview with one of the TV stations in the evening, and he said some of the charges were because he disrespected the deputy party leader and the ODM leader. So, but I agree with Otiende Omolo that some of these positions sometimes do not need even charges for you to be removed, about the confidence the party has. And we did see happening in Jubilee, and even my brother Senator Wamatangi there, and the Jubilee leadership, the other Jubilee wing, imagine that they didn't have confidence in Senator Irungu Kangata, they brought him in. So I agree without unknown reasons, because he just wrote a letter to the president, and somebody somewhere felt that it was not being loyal, it was not the right thing to do. Of course, I agree with most of the Atiendo Molo that some of these positions just need the confidence of the party. But when I heard that, it was so comical, because of course I saw that video where Senator Malala said the Kakamega governor, who has shown intentions of running for president, although he has not filed paid for the money for the ODM and the presidential certificate, did not have a face of a president or do not look like a president. So I am told those were some of the charges that, and you heard Senator Orengo saying some of the charges that Senator Malala faced was disrespecting the ODM leader and the ODM as a party and working at variance. So those are some of the issues I had on the floor of the House. I had the contestation and even the letter that was being read by the Speaker then yesterday evening.
Okay. Governor Mutua, what does this do to the confidence of the public? And I want us to move on to other issues in just a bit. But when we just say that these positions are political, they're given based on the confidence that the party has or doesn't have, should these positions then be taken seriously by the public? Because they expect this to be the leaders.
But you know, even if you say they're given to people because of confidence, I mean, there are many senators. Why that particular senator? Yeah. So you get these positions because of some merit that you have in your life that others do not have. Because let us remember that people vote for you to get into these positions. So anytime somebody, and there's a leader in this country, ascends to a certain position, never take it for granted that they're not worth that position. Because they are competing with many other people. There are 50 million Kenyans. Why did Malala make it to that position? Now, if he got there and then got sidetracked, he forgot that you do not bite the hand that feeds you, then he's removed. And what I'm seeing, what is happening here, and I believe this is the beginning. We saw it in the Jubilee. We've seen it going around. This is the beginning of changes that are going to happen. And the message that is being sent is that either you're with us or you're not with us. You cannot be enjoying the perks that we give you and then you're working against us. So you're either part of the team or you're out of the team completely. Because we have this habit in politics in Kenya whereby you've been given a position by somebody, you've been assisted, or you've been given powers, and you're enjoying the trappings of those powers. You know, you have the motorcades, you have all this, but you're fighting the people who gave you the power. You're actually going against the people who've actually given you the benefits of those positions. So at times it's better to remove them, ukue peke yako, because you're using those positions to go rogue. Yeah. So Kenyan politics has gone rogue. So these rogue elements have to be taught their lesson, and I think that will bring some sense of discipline in our political sphere.
Okay.
Maybe Trevor, just a quick one. I think eventually, as a country, we'll have to make a decision as to what kind of political system we want to run or to have, and then build to higher ideals. Because if you look at the laws that we have in place right now that move more towards taking us to a direction where we would have better political hygiene. We are not a system fully, per se, that upholds and respects the power within the political party to be the main organ and entity that will give and raise the political hygiene we've talked about. For example, we've given those examples before, like the South African model, you know, whereby, you know, the political party really has the wherewithal, the power to determine how the political system runs, including who becomes president. And we are somewhere in between, whereby we have what you would call, in my view, liberal or libertarian democracy towards much more of enjoying really just the freedom that a libertarian approach would give. Yeah. And I think somehow that's how you find sometimes when a political party takes certain decisions, it comes as a surprise, and there will be reactions because people then feel this is supposed to be a democratic space whereby people are free. You can say what you like, do what you like, and continue to still enjoy the positions that you have, for example. But if we had raised the other model much more, people would know, respect, and expect that that within the positions then that you have and the things that you do and say, as you propagate and advance your political ideals and the management and infrastructure of politics, then you are expected to stay within certain boundaries. And I think, by and large, and that's what I would be saying last on this, is would have to ask ourselves, is that a better model or a worse model? And in my view, the more we promote a model that will force political parties to have ideals and ideologies themselves that will make them more appealing, they stand for something. And when we talk about a political party, you want to be associated with that party because it stands for this, and this is what it lives for. Then I think that way, when you hear that somebody has been removed from a political party, people will take that not necessarily as gerrymandering in management of who shouts more louder, who can maybe cause more chaos, as you had Otiende Amolo saying in his earlier points there. That we're having a system whereby the louder you shout, the more chaos you can cause, and the more people you can insult, then the more popular you become. I think we would need to be looking at do we want then to introduce that hygiene? Unfortunately, I think we've been so muddied for so long so that it's become fashionable. You remember, just when we were having the debate on the formula, remember there was a time we had a lot of showdown in Nairobi and arrests and what have you, and questions of money changing hands here and there. And then that time, I think Malala ran to Kakamega and held a very big meeting and shouting that I'm being oppressed and chased. And it seems like it's attractive to people, And you've seen the kind of politics we've had even here in Nairobi, for example, the last few years, whereby, there's been quite a bit of drama, showmanship, and it is not only in Nairobi, it's across the country. I think we have a long, long way to go to clean up our political house, in my view, and then become... And
if I can just jump in quickly before Changai, and this is the aspect of, you see, he's talking about libertarian. Libertarian. When I was studying in college about all these social democrats, libertarian, and libertarianism believes in giving autonomy and freedom for people to exercise their political power and political choices. But then it has to be in the confines of a sense of discipline, which works in the West. For example, you find that if somebody disagrees with a position in a political party or movement, or even within a government, they resign. In Kenya, they don't resign. Senator Cherangai, my friend, keeps on purporting and supporting UDA, which is not the party that took him to the Senate. If he was in the US or if he was in the UK or in one of these, real governments where people really respect the rule of law, he would have resigned and gone back to his, county and run with UDA and maybe gotten re-elected or not. But no, he wants to be in the confines. He wants to enjoy the fruits of what he's enjoying now, and yet, without actually having that moral position and discipline and political maturity to take a stand. And I think that's where we go wrong. We all speak from one mouth and the other side is saying something else. So, and that is where you see Akina Malala and others, you're in this grouping, you have a problem with it, resign, do not wait to be kicked out, and move and stand firm and say, I cannot follow these groupings, I don't like them, I don't like their faces, I don't like their, I'm going to have a stand. But no, ni whimsical, poor politics in this country.
All right. We have to take a quick break on that note and then come back and talk about these issues we do with the BBI. I see here Harrison says, does it mean that NASA was established solely on mock swearing in? Does it mean there was no other background rules and principles that brought NASA together? Otiende Amolo should explain this to us. And then we have Salim Hasio Ngashe, Says Senator Malala should have understood that loyalty is extremely important in the politics of this country. Biting the hand that feeds him has led to his removal. In fact, Otiende, I think you can jump into this really quick, because you said that NASA died when the leaders failed to show up for the mock swearing in. And that's what Harrison is countering. He's wondering, does it mean that NASA was established solely on the swearing in? Does it mean there was no other background rules and principles that brought NASA together?
This is not a point of debate. This is a point of fact. NASA started its very slow but steady death upon the failure to attend the swearing in. So the swearing in is the symbolism. You see, like when you study the World War II, or for example, there's always a trigger. And the trigger for the death of NASA was that it was not mock swearing in. We actually swore in the people's president, and the others could not attend.
And that is
the point is that from that point henceforth,
yeah,
the first thing the first strike is when leaders fail to attend what they have undertaken to attend, and then they give very lame excuses. I'm sure by now, if you analyze each of those leaders, they have at least each given 3 different reasons why they didn't attend. Now, that starts to speak to the confidence of the team. And from that point henceforth, it's been downhill.
And there's still another counter to that same statement you made. Peter says, what swearing in? A whole lawyer calling an illegality as swearing in. What was Odinga sworn into? What office does he occupy now? Uhuru is still president.
Because you see, they're calling it a mock swearing in, and I agree it was a mock swearing in, even though you may not say it that way. It's because the swearing in was not meant to swear in Raila Odinga for any position. It was to make a statement. He said that I do not agree with the results, therefore I will be the so-called people's president. That did not give him any powers, but it was symbolic. It's the same way, once the Pope passes away, there's a conclave of cardinals who choose a pope. I mean, you can now form your own conclave of cardinals across the river in Rome and swear in your own or appoint your own pope. That doesn't make them the pope. The pope is one that is done officially. So it was more of symbolic. But the fallout began because these people did not have what Madam Albright, the former secretary, the former foreign affairs minister of the US, called Mahones, did not have the balls to stand, kusema, yes, I'm going to be with you in good times and with you in bad times. They didn't basically have the balls. Okay. And these are people who are not dependable. They are basically fake.
Just a quick one, a quick one, Trevor. I think I would be more inclined to agree with the earlier views of the viewer who opined that probably NASA was founded on quicksand. From its very foundation of, starting Trevor, because what you would want to ask yourself, if you look at all the faces that were in NASA in the first place, from Raila Amolo Odinga, then, the others, Akina Kalonzo, Akina Mudavadi, Tangula, and so on, what you'd be asking yourself is, all these gentlemen, even at that time when they formed that movement, Musalia Mudavadi was in his assertion and quest running for president. The same thing for Kalonzo Musyoka. And all these 5 gentlemen, they knew, all the 4, they knew that the presidency is only occupied by one individual, being the president, and maybe another deputy president. And right from formation, there was no clarity, there was no disclosure, there was no public pronouncement that we are forming this coalition as key players, and what we intend to do is this and that and that, and have this man as president, and Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be the deputy president, and this one is going to be this and that and that. You see, it was all shrouded in you don't want to call it mystique because it was intentional. I mean, you would almost call it a misrepresentation, if you like, because the failure to have that clarity and disclosure from the word go would mean that something is going to happen anyway, and maybe somebody, I would hate to use the word being taken for a ride, because these are not the kind of minds you take for a ride, but probably, it was obviously going to come to what it was. Otherwise, I would expect, Trevor, if I get into an arrangement with Otiende Amolo and governor here, and we say that we are having this coalition to form a government, we would be saying that our...
That sounds like a good idea, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we'll be saying that we are saying that Otiende Amolo is going to be the prime minister. And, Dr. Governor here, Mutua, is going to be the president.
And
of course, yeah, he could be the deputy or be the president. But anyway,
the other way was better.
My point is this, that in the absence of that kind of disclosure, then what we are saying is that we are expecting that when we get somewhere and we've attracted enough people, that Otiende Amolo, being the one with the more gray hair, is going to then run away with everything, and then we'll be left fighting here. Okay. So I'm saying, I think from the word go, that there's something that they knew was going to happen, and so I don't think that they ought to be crying now.
But that cannot go uncounted. Okay. NASA was never formed on quicksand. And as for your coalition, Dr. Mutua, Kiambu and Machakos coalition, well, we've seen that before.
No, but we brought you,
But coming back to NASA, NASA was not formed on quicksand, Senator Wamatangi.
Yes.
And NASA had it was very clear on its candidate, it was very clear on its structures. The first problem, other than the swearing in, is when NASA won the presidential elections and you took it away. That is where the real problems of NASA began. And we can discuss that till the end of the day.
No.
Now, once that was done, and that was the main thing. Now, once that was done, then all the other principals who had hoped that, at least this time round, NASA would capture the government, and there was a very clear arrangement how the government would be dealt with, then started thinking, is it true that I have to wait again in 2022 and then probably support someone and thereafter? And then each of them started being ambitious in their own way. That is the real problem. But NASA was very structured.
Just so that we settle this once and for all, I am fully convinced that Dr. Otiende Amolo would require debriefing.
On who won the election. I have to take a quick break now, guys.
On the election outcome or what?
Who won the election? Let's come back in just a bit to talk about the BBI. There seems to be a standoff in the bicameral parliament. We'll find out. Legally, they can't really amend anything, but there's still a standoff there. We'll find out what the problem really is. Honorable Aidan Duale asked directly, why do they want an extension? Is there a problem in the committee? We'll find out in just a bit. I see a lot of your views on various issues coming through on State of the Nation. We'll read some of them at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. See you in a bit.